In the quiet countryside of Quebec, Canada, an unthinkable crime was unfolding, one that would shock a nation and strike at the heart of its sweetest resource. Like, share, and subscribe for more unbelievable true crime stories. Canada is known for its maple syrup. This liquid gold is more than just a sweet treat. It's a cultural icon, an economic powerhouse, and a source of national pride. Every year, Canada produces over 70% of the world's maple syrup supply, with Quebec leading the charge. But in 2011, this industry became the target of one of the most bizarre heists in history. And it would all begin in a quiet warehouse in the small town of Saint Louis de Blanford, Quebec. The Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers, or FPAQ, regulates and protects Canada's syrup industry, maintaining a reserve of syrup stored in secure warehouses. These strategic reserves act like a safety net for syrup production, ensuring stable prices. In 2011, a man named Avik Karen leased the warehouse from the FPAQ to store some of their reserve. He had a plan, a scheme that would take months of meticulous planning and involve several accomplices. Karen was no ordinary thief. His plan was bold, and it would take place right under the noses of the FPAQ. His goal? To siphon off Canada's beloved maple syrup, leaving the barrels empty, and get rich in the process. Over the span of several months, Karen and his team began the operation. They would come into the warehouse, empty the barrels of syrup, and refill them with water to maintain the weight. The stolen syrup was then transported to New Brunswick, where it would be sold on the black market. The operation was incredibly risky. Each barrel held thousands of dollars worth of syrup, and stealing even a few barrels was a serious crime. But Karen's team took thousands of barrels, totaling millions of dollars. All of it done right under the noses of the FPAQ and the government. The stolen syrup was sold across Canada and even exported to the United States, where it was sold to unsuspecting buyers. Maple syrup producers, shops, and even large distributors were unwittingly buying stolen syrup. For over a year, Karen and his accomplices carried out the heist, evading detection by meticulously covering their tracks. They had nearly perfected their scheme until a small mistake would unravel everything. In July 2012, an FPAQ inspector came to check on the barrels. He noticed something strange. Several barrels sounded hollow when tapped. He opened one up, and instead of syrup, he found water. That one hollow barrel would lead to one of the largest investigations in Quebec history. Panicked, the FPAQ began inspecting more barrels, uncovering empty barrel after empty barrel. An estimated $18 million worth of syrup was missing, sparking an investigation that would bring Canada's syrup industry to its knees. The Sûreté du Québec, Quebec's provincial police force, was called in to investigate. Detectives traced the stolen syrup to New Brunswick and found evidence of an extensive network. Soon, Avik Caron and over a dozen accomplices were under suspicion. The investigation uncovered a web of brokers, truck drivers, and producers involved in the illegal sale of the syrup. Karen had organized a massive operation, and it seemed like he had almost gotten away with it. In 2012, Avik Karen and several others were arrested and charged with theft, trafficking, and fraud. The case went to court in 2017, where Karen was sentenced to 5 years in prison and fined $1.2 million, with the threat of more fines if he failed to pay. Though some of the syrup was recovered, much of it was never found. The FPAQ and the government took measures to prevent future heists, but the stolen syrup remains one of Canada's largest unresolved losses. The Great Canadian Maple Syrup Heist stands as one of the strangest and most ambitious heists in history, a robbery of a beloved resource that was meticulously planned, yet almost undetectable. Today the case remains legendary, a reminder that sometimes crime isn't just about gold or jewels, sometimes it's about syrup. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more unbelievable true crime stories. We cover the most daring heists, strange mysteries, and fascinating criminals from around the world.